I imagine you had maybe 20, 25 interviews that have asked you the same question about the genesis of this, but I'm not going to ask you that question. I want to know more about the potential backstory that you might have created with this character.
Cool, with Rami? Yeah.
How does he?
Yeah, I will tell you about that. No one's asked me that. I'm I'm excited to talk about that as a writer too.
Okay.
I thought this is something that's hinted at in the movie, but we don't really go into it, which is that Jonah was homeless before. Jonah probably has a criminal record. Jonah probably has a history of dealing with mental illness, undiagnosed mental illness. And when the backstory is sort of like he meets Marty, and she was kind of coming off of an addiction type of thing, and she sort of brought him into this church and like got him clean and got him stable, and we're meeting him at a slice of his life where he's almost okay, he's almost stable.
Yeah.
But this like fucking night shift is cracking him, and the instability is just around the corner.
For performance to be enhanced to that level, I think there needs to be a little bit of workshopping done. Not necessarily for the actor to get into your skin or to figure out your world. It's very evocative. It's very.
It's important, I think, for actors and directors to start to develop a language for the film. And I think that I've always felt that there are things you need to sort of agree on together about the backstory or the context, but it's also really lovely for actors to have secrets and for actors to have their own story that I don't get to be privy to, because what's fun about that is then I get to be surprised when we're shooting, and I love to be in the process of discovering, rather than dictating. I think it's really fun to just kind of keep the camera alive and keep myself alive and be just embracing happy accidents and finding new things and surprising yourself every day. That's when you've had a good day. It's a day full of wonderful surprises, rather than just like we got out, we said we did exactly what we were going to do. I mean, I'd rather write novels if I was going to do that, because then I could be in control of everything. I like to be a little bit out of control, because
this employs a fractured timeline. I was wondering, during the writing process, boring question, but I'm really curious about it. We did talk about backstory. Are you framing him differently? And then when you go about filming it, I imagine just out of budgetary concerns, you have to go about it in a certain direction. But during the screenwriting process, how did you tackle the fractured timeline? Like we visit this character at many junctures in his life. I'd be willing to, maybe 4. It's about, maybe I'll speak generally about this fractured timeline question. It's about a man who's split in two, and one version of him is roaming the mountains seeking a reckoning with his maker, and the other version of him is swept out to sea against his will and forced to have a reckoning with the powers that be. And it's really about the story about this one man and how that came to be, right? And then there's some sort of additional questions there, but timeline-wise, I was interested in really just emotional storytelling and sort of not worried too much about time for that reason. We had done earlier cuts where we like made it much more specific, like to give people guides for exactly where they were in time. And what we found was then people got in their minds and they started sort of wanting to track things intellectually. And I thought it was just rhythmically and emotionally more compelling to just ask people to just let themselves go on this ride and trust this ride and hopefully come out of their thinking and then be piecing it together, rather than asking them to sort of be doing homework during the movie. So I thought it was better to kind of let that go. I revisited your debut film before coming here.
Thank you for doing that. That's very impressive.
And so I'm curious about backdrop for you. I'm thinking of another female filmmaker where backdrop is an essential, quintessential part of her filmmaking. It's Kelly Reichardt. And by chance, you employ an actress that was in Certain
Lily.
Women. Yeah. And I don't know why I'm drawing a lineage between you and Kelly.
We both shot in Montana, too.
There's that perhaps as well. But backdrop has, I wouldn't say important stakes, but...
For me it does.
I think place for me is location. For me, must reflect the spiritual center of the movie. So in The Midnight Swim, the lake was that. In Buster's Malheart, I had drawn this like kind of like an S curve, where it was like I needed a place that was like at the highest peak and the lowest point. So I needed to be lost at sea, but also at the highest point we could go to. So I think location is incredibly important.
As a viewer, how much am I supposed to read into the binary idea that you put forth? Not only in, I think there's between DJ Qualls and Rami's character, they do discuss that at one point, but it's symbolically represented. How much weight?
A lot.
Yeah.
I mean, I was interested. This is a story very much about sort of like the, whether there is such thing as freedom at all, and in a deterministic universe, like whether freedom is at all possible.
I love this conversation. Go on.
And so, logic by its very nature is coercive, and the way that our brain tends to think is in zeros and ones. That is sort of the basis of how we like process the world. But perhaps, and then the question is that how the universe also works? Is that just sort of how our brains are interpreting the universe, or is the universe actually built that way? I was interested in a story about a man. The Midnight Swim. So let me back up. If the universe is this merciless, beautiful machine, eternally recurring over and over again with just sort of like little random seeds of iterations, like sort of an endless, like evolving fractal of like being in existence, the Midnight Swim sort of like shows you how to like flow into that path and like go from sort of one consciousness to another in that path. But Buster's Malheart is like rebelling against it, like fuck this eternal recurrence. Like someone who's trying to go against the way that the machine is churning and to swim against fate. And it just so happens that Jonah has a heart so strong as he's like swimming against the tidal wave of fate that he slips into.
Both films were filmed under certain conditions. The first one is extremely low budget, made on a dime.
On a dime.
And with a great cast. More or less applies here, but here you got Manette, you got
we had
Game
real
Changer.
resources. We had really supportive investors, and I think the Midnight Swim was such a good training ground for really made it by the skin of our teeth, and it made me fully fucking grateful for every penny we got on this one, and wanting to turn. For every penny I got, wanting to make sure I tripled it in production value.
Sarah, the production value is amazing.
Thank
you.
You
really get a sense that.
Thank you. I
don't
really
know
pushed
where
it
this
on
falls. I don't know where this falls in the dollar sense, but
no.
You get a sense that.
Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I have a lot of movies in me and a lot of things I want to make. And I just wasn't messing around. I really wanted to make the best possible version of this story that we could, and really our whole team just like full of like super talented artists. We were all in it to make the best possible version, so every penny went on screen that could.
I got it pieced together, put together. There is a beautiful flow. How do you anticipate that process?
First of all, I should say the editing is. I've always been an editor for my stuff, so it's just it's kind of feels like it's all part of the same thing. It feels almost weird to me to be like to give it away, and also because I used to be a painter. Okay. I really like thinking without my brain, and I like sort of going straight from like heart to finger. And so to be able to be in control of that rhythmically and musically is like really important for me. Just like I would be a really annoying backseat editor because I would constantly be like tapping on the other because I edit rhythmically. But I will also say that post-production it's really the dark night of the soul for me too. Production is so full of family and friends and people pitching in and adrenaline, and it's like this fucking wartime party, of like of effort. And then all of a sudden I'm all alone.
Yeah, solitary.
For months.
Yeah.
And it was a really dark time for me. I would actually shouldn't talk about something emotional, but like lost my dog, and it was like, you know, hard. And ooh, hang on, water. That made me realize, I think, like on my next movie, it might be nice to have an editor. I would still want to edit myself, but someone to edit with. Someone I can have you know, my producers are obviously that for me too, but
of course.
It'd be beautiful to be able to like pass a file to someone and have them do some work, and maybe I take 2 weeks to clear my head, and then I come back and do a pass, and kind of, you know, being able to do it more like tennis, just so
perhaps
a little less lonely.
Perhaps this film's will just made that call for you and informed you about, like, you know what, maybe you do need a
bouncing board would be lovely, and also so that it continues to be a fun process, you know, because maybe I love editing, but when I'm all by myself, there's definitely, like, you know, moments my husband will come in, who does the music and the cinematography too. You know, he's obviously a huge creative collaborator of mine, but he'll come in and I'll just like collapse on the floor, like literally, like
rolled up in
rolled up in a ball, and then he's
doing?
like, I know you're at this part of the process. You always get there and you always get out, you know. And he just says, you know, like, this is good. Now you've hit rock bottom.
Sorry, you got out.
And
you got out. You got out.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's a beautiful film. I'm really happy to have seen it. Not the way that I wanted to see it, but I'm
sorry. You should come again tonight.
It's okay.
Yeah. It's okay. Another time.
Thank you very much for your time.
Watch it backwards next time.
God, I did that with Memento. That was one exercise. I did that with
I just said that. I don't know why. I've never watched
whatever.
it backwards. Yeah. Watch it upside down.
Yeah, okay.